Good morning. It is Sunday, September 10th, 2023, and I am back on trail. I'm headed down Deep Creek to meet up with Martin's Gap, and at some point meet up with my hiker friend Dawn, and we will finish Martin's Gap, Sunkota Ridge, and end up at campsite 52 on Newton Bald. It rained probably until about 2 a.m. Not real hard. My tent, the outside was wet this morning, but I stayed dry. I ended up having a really nice night sleeping. It was almost too hot for my 40 degree. I went ahead and brought my liner too, because I like to lay in that when I'm that might have just been a limb falling. Sorry, when I'm dirty. But I ended up, for the most part, not sleeping with either one of them over most of my body. So it was a really pleasant night. I got good sleep. I usually take Benadryl, mainly because of my allergies. And I didn't last night, and I probably should have. I kind of woke up a little groggy. So tonight I'll make sure to do that. But yeah, so we're getting started at 8:40 this morning. I'm expecting me to only go about 1.5 miles an hour. And then probably then be in, I don't know, somewhere between 4 and 5. Take lunch at the junction of Sancota Ridge and Martin's Gap. Hopefully there'll be a nice little area to stop. That's a good timing to stop. So anyway, I'm gonna get headed on and I'll show you the trail as I go. Well, here's blowdown number 1 of the day. It looks like people have made a path for me already. I ended up taking my pack off and then climbed over those I call them footrests. That was about 10 minutes away from the campsite. I'm passing all these giant old growth trees and I'm feeling so small. And of course they're not even close to the size they used to be. I feel like the North Carolina side does have more old growth, even though it was logged. I think there's just so much deep back country that there were spots that they just couldn't get to, or it wasn't worth getting to. All right, blowdown number 2, much easier to get around. This stretch of the trail has been very pleasant. There have been a couple times where the trail has been the creeks or the tributaries, but it hasn't been bad at all. So I believe the section that everybody talks about being washed out and that will be the biggest challenge for me will be closer to Pole Road Trail. I do think I have a couple rock hops. Actually, it looks like one's coming up right here. Yeah, well, it shouldn't be too bad. I have to think about it. I don't want to get my feet wet. That was a little treacherous of a rock hop, but I did make it. So I hopped to that rock there, and surprisingly enough, that sharp edge looking one there, it wasn't slick on the top, and this wasn't slick either. I was really surprised. So I made it. I don't know how many times more I can do that. I know that it hasn't been super rainy lately, and it is September, which is, I think, one of the driest months, at least, if not the driest. So I don't know how many of those, or, it all depends on where the rocks are placed. Another interesting blowdown. That one goes right down the side, and that looks pretty recent. But that long squiggly branch that stands up, that is strong enough for you to hold on to as you cross over that treacherous downhill. So it wasn't too bad. I know that, there'll be people in the future who hike these trails that either those blowdowns won't be here any longer, or there'll be new ones. But my intention is for this to be easier for you to understand and know what you may have to navigate on each trail. And of course, each trail can have its own blowdowns and obstacles, but I don't know. I think it helps. I really wish that I would have had this guide. I mean, that's what I'm looking at these vlogs as a guide when I started the 900 miler. And I got to thinking yesterday that once I finish, I might be the only person to have vlogged the entire 900 miler. And I'm hopeful that that will help people. Ooh, okay. I don't like these washouts. North Carolina seems to have them in spades. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't focused on it. Yeah, that's a little dangerous. I don't know if you can see it, but down there is Deep Creek. Okay, so the trail comes right out to the creek on rock, and it continues right next to the creek. I'm not sure how and where. I can tell for a while. I won't be able to film it because it's just too rocky, but I just wanted you to see this, and we are 1.5 miles in. Okay, so the trail comes out and crosses this little creek. It was a rock hop, a careful one. And then I continue on, but I don't know if you can see up ahead. It looks like I get more of a trail ground here, less rocky. We'll find out. I do believe that this is the washout area because a couple weeks ago, somebody I know was talking about crossing here and how it's almost impossible to get across this blowdown because it's so close to the creek. So I think this might be the washout area. I think what I'm going to do is take my pack off again and try to go under there and see how it goes. But beyond that, it does look like the trail runs alongside. So, I mean, and by that I mean not as rocky anymore. So, we'll see. I will catch you on the flip side. I went a different way than I thought I would. I went down closer to the creek. I don't know that I would suggest that to anybody, but I got to thinking if I took my pack off in that area, I wasn't sure how I was going to get my pack through. And it just looked to me like if I were careful and I could grab onto those rhododendron branches that are hanging down. Those are mossy rocks. And there was one time where I had to kind of try 3 times before I got my one leg up to the next rock. But it worked. So I'm hopeful that it's over with. By the way, this is 1.6 miles after campsite 53, headed towards Pole Road Trail, or whatever that's called. Alright, here's the next tough blowdown. I've had several blowdowns since, but they've been all super easy. This has a lot of those little branches on it that I think I can get over, but I think I'm going to have to go over face first, just so that my center of gravity doesn't take me down the creek. As with all my best laid plans, I did it the opposite way. Those dead branches are really nice footrests, and it gave me more control, so not so bad. I am 3.2 miles in. I believe this goes on for 3.6 miles, so the next campsite should be around, I think it's supposed to be 55. And then from there, or is it 54, 55, 56, and 57? There'll be 4 campsites right in a row. I just crossed that stream in the distance and ended up getting a little wet, but not like totally. So I'm hopeful my shoe will dry out. And then that was an easy hop rock. And then here is the next campsite. Oh, there's the bear hang cables. I might take a small break here and then I'll go on. So I come from the direction from behind the tree, and just as I was trying to figure out how to go, I was about 6 inches away from a yellow jacket ground nest. I couldn't believe they didn't come after me. They were just buzzing around. So I came down that tree, around that tree, and over here, and this isn't even the raging part of the creek. I'm sorry, I just did a 360. There's the creek, and I saw that culvert, so I know the trail goes that way, and you can tell the trail goes that way. So I have to get over there. I made it across. Those rocks are slick, but if you take your time, there are grooves that you can kind of place your feet against. Wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. And I think I'm coming up on 55 soon. Campsite 55. Right after campsite 55, we come to our junction. And this is the, I'll go to the left here, following up Martin's Gap to, no, it says only, oh, I'm still in Deep Creek, but I get to Martin's Gap in a half a mile. Pole Road Creek Trail, Robin and I have already been on that. We've already gone that way when we did Nolan Divide. That was a couple years ago, actually. But looks like I got some uphill climb coming up. Just a small uphill and downhill later. I believe this is 56. But I don't see the bear hang cables or the, oh, there's the sign. I think I did a video on this one already. All right, I've come up on campsite 57. It's a beautiful campsite, but the 2 times that I have been up here to it, both times it's been closed due to bear activity. Sometimes you come up to a campsite, and I don't see the signs. Maybe they're on the other side, but you'll come up to a campsite and you'll see this right here. That's the National Park Service trying to catch this bear. So I'm going to kind of scuttle through here. I thought I would stop and try to see the Kephart memorial thing that the Boy Scouts put out back in the 30s, but I smell an animal, and I've smelled it for a few minutes. So I'm just going to move on. Here are the signs that say that it's notice that it's closed. And then here's the sign to Martin's Gap. I think, do I have to cross? Yeah, I have to cross before the stream. But here's the sign that tells me that. Okay, so I'm going up to Sunkota Ridge, 1.5 miles, and it's straight up. I believe, I have not found it yet, but I believe that the memorial to Mark Kephart is about 50 yards down that way. This is Deep Creek Trail. So I'm going to skedoodle on, put this away, and I will talk to you later. And hopefully I won't see a bear. I don't know if my Garmin is off or if the signage is off, but that was not a mile and a half. It was more like 2 miles. Oh, and that was a pretty rough 2 miles. Oh. But I'm here now. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have some lunch, and then I'll head up that trail. Okay, I have had a chance to eat and drink and regroup and check everything out. I'm about to head off to the Thomas Divide Trail. It says I have 4.9 miles to go. I think the grade's a little less steep than what I just came up, but that's a lot longer, so it's going to take me a while. It's starting to rain, and I've had my pack cover on all day, but I'm not sure if I'll get the umbrella out now or wait. We'll see. Everything else is covered, so yeah, so I'm about to head off. I don't know how much I'll record since it is raining, but I'll do what I can. I am still on Sancota. I have about 2.5 miles left, I think, something like that. This is my first bigger peak view of the trip. I'm not really sure what that ridge is there, but I was just taking a break and I thought, oh, that's pretty. I need to show you guys because I haven't really showed you much of this trail. It's just been a challenge. It's not a bad trail. I actually don't mind it at all. It's just that it's a pretty moderately graded uphill. There was some downhill and some flat. It didn't go on too long, but the trail itself I really like. I'm just tired. So my watch says that I've gone nearly 11 miles today, which will put me at about 13 total, probably even more than that. But I don't know if that's right. So being my second day back after a break, and you know, I never really get my trail legs, but I do like to hike around home. But I haven't really even been able to do that lately. So I haven't been on the stairs. I've just been walking around the neighborhood. And so I've lost some pretty good muscle tone. But I like this trail so far. It's not bad. So I'm just taking lots of breaks. Oh, okay. All right. Catch you soon. We have made it to the junction of the Thomas Divide Trail. I haven't done any of those. The Newton Bald is the top one. It says it's 0.4. And I think I have to go to that, and then right after that is the campsite. So that's as far as I'm going on that one. Kanadi I'll have to come back and do. And then the bottom one just says that we're continuing on the Mountains to Sea trail. And then here's the Sancota ridge. So I liked that trail. And I liked today better than yesterday, even though I've gone 2.5 times more mile-wise. There were a lot of uphills. Most of them were moderate. Some of them were kind of steep. And I still have another one coming up here. It's about 5:30, excuse me. I will see you at the Newton Bald Junction. I made it to the junction of the Newton Bald Trail. And this says campsite 52 is 0.02 away. And I believe it's downhill. This is the Thomas Divide Trail. I know you can't see. I mean, I can't really see anything, but it's so pretty up here. You know that you're up really high. Because in the distance you can see the mountains. So anyway, there may be 4 people at our campsite tonight. So I may not film coming in. If it's just dawn, I will. Otherwise, I will do a wrap up in or around my tent tonight. I think this is going to be a really good night here. I don't hear or see any storms on the horizon. It was a beautiful sunset, a little obscured, but had some campmates here from Minnesota and Tennessee, and it was nice to talk to them and, you know, share stories. Got everything set up. It is, I think it might be like around 8:30. I have to roll out my muscles and then probably go to bed. Pretty tired. I need to take some Benadryl. It was a good day overall. It took me so much longer to hike it than it should have, but I did it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it, and I'll see you tomorrow.